Facebook ads is often a volume game. The more ads you can create and test, the more likely you are to find winners that absolutely crush it for your business. Now the problem is it usually takes a lot of time and effort to create new ads, but in this video I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily create way more Facebook ads and shortcut your path to success. Okay, so I want to start by talking about Facebook ad formats and what I want to discuss in this video specifically, because really what I want to cover here is video ads. I want to talk about a quick and easy way to create lots of Facebook and Instagram video ads, because image ads are quite quick and easy to produce anyway, especially with AI doing a lot of the heavy lifting now. You probably don't have an issue when it comes to volume on the image ad or even carousels and other ad formats. But videos are much more difficult, much more time consuming to produce, particularly with high production value and high quality. And a lot of businesses don't have the expertise to produce high quality video ads in-house. So they need to bring in videographers, video editors, etc. to produce really good stuff. So it can get very expensive. Someone like me says, you've got to test a whole load of different ads. And you think, well, how on earth do I do that with video ad content? How do I create dozens or hundreds of ads? That's completely unrealistic. I'm going to show you how that's possible in this video. The other reason why I wanted to focus here on video ads is because video ads do produce the best results most of the time. So we've got over 1,000 ad accounts within our business manager at this point, and I've polled my audience as well. And right now, about 60% of the time, video ads produce better results than image or other ad formats. And the trend is for that to continue going up. So I ran the same poll about 2 years ago, and it's about 45% of the time video was the best producing ad format. So it's very much heading in the direction of video, and I expect that to continue to some extent. There will always be a place for other ad formats, and businesses to see better results with image ads and simpler ad formats where they're advertising something relatively simple that people can decide whether or not to purchase or inquire into very quickly and easily. But most businesses see better results with video ads. And like I said, producing high quality video ads is time consuming, it's costly, and it's very difficult to do. So the key here, the way you do this is you need to think about producing lots of ads to be able to test, play that volume game, but not doing so by creating lots of full-length video ads. Instead, what you need to do is create lots of hooks for the same sort of body video ad. And you can easily create 100 different ads by using different verbal hooks, different visual hooks. I'm going to go through this in a lot of detail, in the same time that it would have previously taken you to produce 3 full-length ads. Like, that really is possible. I'm going to show you how we go about doing this and the structure. Before I do that, I want to talk about why does that work? Why are those different video ads? If you look at the data closely and you look at something called your hook rate. So your hook rate is a percentage of people that watched more than the first 3 seconds of your video ad. It's tiny. 90+% of people, for most advertisers, hook rates vary depending on how good the hook is, but for most advertisers, 90% or more of people will not make it past those first 3 seconds. So if you, for example, have the same ad, so let's say it's a 60-second ad, and the last 57 seconds of it, so exclude the hook, the last 57 seconds of it is the same in ad B and the same as ad A, but those first 3 seconds are different. For the vast majority of people, that is a completely different ad because they never made it to those last 57 seconds. They only saw the first second or the first half second or the first 2 seconds. They never made it past the hook. So if you change what that hook likes visually, change what's said in those first 3 seconds, that is a completely different ad. And I think that's something that advertisers need to get their head around. They think, okay, I've created an ad, and they forget that what matters is how much of it people have seen. And if they've only seen those first 1 or 2 seconds, if you just change that bit but keep the rest the same, that is a different ad to those people, which is the vast majority of your audience. Now, in a second, I'm going to show you how this works with an example structure. But first, I want to let you know about Modash. Modash is the leading end-to-end influencer management platform for Shopify brands. If you've watched my content for a while, you'll know that I love using influencers in Facebook and Instagram ads. It's a great way to massively improve your results. Modash makes it really easy to find and contact great influencers to help promote your products. You can reach out and send products directly from within the same tab. So I can come down here and I can start adding in filters to specify what it is I'm looking for. For example, I might decide that I want to just find influencers that are UK based. I can add in all sorts of other criteria. I can see follower numbers. I can specify I only want to work with people that have at least 20,000 followers. You can choose different numbers, for example. There's things around follower growth, engagement rate, really good stuff. And then we get into sort of categories, topics. You can start specifying according to the type of niche that you're in. So let's say, for example, I sold products related to dogs. I could go in and select dog as a topic, and you'll see that Modash will produce a list here of 40 profiles, and then I can go about having a look at these and deciding which ones I might want to work with, which ones I might want to reach out to. So for example, if I click here on Rebecca Drake as an example, I can see all sorts of really interesting information to decide whether or not I want to work with this person. So I can see their growth, their follower numbers. I can see what percentage of their followers are fake. So 23% here, which is below average, which is a bit of an eye-opener there. I can see engagement rates, average engagement rates, estimated impressions on their reels, how many plays did they get on their average reel, what's their estimated reach on their stories, what's the breakdown of their audience, male, female, etc., locations, ages, all really useful stuff to decide whether or not you want to work with them. There are also a number of ways to reach out to any influencers that you want to get in touch with. One of the best ways is to click unlock on this email section and then be able to send them an email in a way that's far more likely to cut through the noise of sending them DMs or something like that directly through the platform where they probably receive a lot of inbound communication. Right now, Modash has a 14-day free trial, no payment details needed. Just log on and get started within minutes. Check the link in the video description below. So, how do you actually do this? Here's what I'd recommend. Plan out 2 full video ads. You can model from your competition. If you want more details on how to create video ads, by the way, I've got videos on my channel. Go ahead and check those out, and I'll show you exactly how to produce full video ads, how to plan them, and all that sort of stuff. But that's step one, is like plan out 2 full video ads and get those recorded. And then what you need to do is find 10 different locations to record that very first part, the hook, basically the opening line, depending on the video ad style. I'll talk more about that in a second, but basically the opening line in different locations. That's quicker and easier to do than you think. Like, let's say you're recording in an office environment because that's appropriate for your brand. It could be as simple as one location is facing that way, and then you pick up the camera and you put it over there, and then you do another location because that background's going to be different to that background, and then you just go sit somewhere else and that's got a different background. Like, this can be quite quick and easy if you're a location-based business. I was speaking to someone the other day that had a gym, and I was recommending this approach, and it's like, well, just go to different spots in your gym, and those are all different visual hooks. These are different locations. When the ad pops up in front of people, they will think it's a different ad because the background is a different spot. You can also, other easy ways to come up with different backgrounds and sort of visual hooks would be go outside. Can be a really easy way. Your business doesn't need to be anything outdoors related, but we've done this with my stuff quite a lot, where we'll just go outside. I live in a Cotswolds, so there's like pretty views around, but you can very quickly and easily find, okay, this is in a patch of woodland, this is in some grass, and just things that look different. They're going to grab different attention. So easy way to go out and grab lots of different locations, different backgrounds for visual hooks. Or you can fully go and go to interesting places, be like, oh, I know that there's such and such and that's going to look amazing, I'm going to go there and record something, or I'm going to go over there and record something that's going to look amazing, and think about it that way. You can mix it up between face to camera and something else. So you could have someone, this is a different visual hook, right? So I'm sat in the camera right now. We could have another version where I'm not there. This is going to vary depending on businesses. So e-commerce businesses aren't normally going to be face to camera. They're normally going to be something else. So you can still change up your visual hooks with that in mind. A lot more service-based businesses, anything expertise is going to be with a person. So all of mine are going to include me at the beginning. We're not going to do any that don't. But for some businesses, you could mix and match and do a little bit of one, a little bit of other, something to test. As we've already discussed, that's really, really important. You can use different props. So I've used whiteboards, I've used laptops, phones, things that give different visual hooks early on that just look different. You could deliver the same line in the same location with a prop versus without, say something big like a whiteboard. That looks like a completely different ad, even if you're saying the same thing. And like I said, the main body of the ad, the 57%, is exactly the same. Outfit changes. I could put on a completely different color top, different style. It would be quite a different visual hook. So lots of different ways to create different visual hooks, and you can basically record those 2 full ads, have those 10 different locations and you don't need to record the full ads in the 10 different locations. You record those just once, but then you record the very beginning part in those 10 different locations. You have way more ad combos. Now, this gets even more powerful when you combine this with different verbal hooks. So if you've got those 10 or more different locations, you can also come up with 10 or more different opening lines. And then when you combine the two, you can, let's say we're filming an office environment, right? I deliver my 10 different verbal hooks sat here with this background, with this visual hook. Then I turn the cameras around, I record with that as a background, I deliver the 10 lines again. Then I go sit in another part of my office and I do the 10 lines again. And then I go outside, in one spot do 10 lines, outside another spot do 10 lines, etc., etc. Yes, it's a bit of time and effort to do this, but nowhere near as much as planning and recording full video ads. So I'm just going to quickly run through some different examples like I did for the visual hooks, but for verbal hooks to maybe trigger some ideas and make you think of, okay, well, what should the opening line of my ad be, right? So there's different verbal hook styles that we typically use. One of them that I really like is questions that your prospects will say yes to, things you can ask right at the beginning. So examples might be something like, do you struggle to get your Facebook ads to work? That could be a verbal hook for us. Do you spend too much time cooking and cleaning if you're selling services related to that? Do you dream of changing careers? You can imagine the sorts of businesses that might use that, some examples. Another style would be conditional statements. So these are more specific than the questions in the previous example, and that's why we differentiate the two, because your prospects will be very interested in the conditional result. Like if they meet certain criteria, yes, I would really like that. I'll give some more examples, right? If you spend more than $100,000 per month on Facebook ads, we guarantee you a 30% improvement in your ROAS in 3 months. Like if you meet this criteria, then we're able to get you X benefit. Another example, if you can't walk your dog in the park because of reactivity, we have the perfect program for you. If you meet this condition, we have something you're going to be really interested in. So I use these quite a lot in my ads. I think they're a really good verbal hook. Maybe that's triggered some ideas. Outstanding results is another type of verbal hook that we'll use a lot. We use it in my ads. We use it for clients. So we'll include things like client result screenshots. That's another way to get another visual hook, by the way. So starting with me, we can start with a screenshot. So I'll give you some other examples. See how this client added $100,000 of value to their home with our solar panels. How this Texan mum lost 50 pounds in 6 months without exercising. You've seen these sort of intros, these sort of verbal hooks. These often can be used as headlines as well. But you can see how that might be really attractive if someone's thinking about installing solar panels, or someone is a Texan mum who wants to lose weight. They connect with that because the results for that person they're a very similar person to the one given as the example, and therefore they think if this business was able to get results for them, they're likely able to get results for me. So outstanding results can be a great way to go. So now if you put these together, right, you've got the 2 full ads, you've got the 10 different visual hooks and the 10 different verbal hooks. Like I said, you go to each location, you record all 10 lines, go to another location, you record all 10 lines. When you put all those together, that creates 200 ad combos. Even though you've only got 2 full ads, so the 57 seconds or so of a 60-second ad is the same well, there's 2 different variations, that's it, across those 200 ads, 100 to 100 in each. But you've got basically 10 by 10 in terms of the visual hooks, verbal hook combinations. And what that allows you to do is test so many different hook variations, and it makes it so much more likely that you are going to find winners, ones that really grab people's attention. You can obviously then learn and take those learnings and have that impact the next batch that you create. Go, okay, this worked really well. The outside visual hooks seem to perform better than the indoor ones. Let's do more of those. This type of verbal hook, the outstanding results is where it's at. That seems to be the best verbal hook for us. So you can learn and then you can use that to inform future ad creation. But the hook is the most important part of a Facebook and Instagram ad by far. Like I've already said, the first second is the part that everyone sees, or just about everyone sees. The first 0. whatever seconds is part that everyone sees, right? So that is by far the most important part. That is often going to determine whether or not someone watches the rest of the ad. And if they don't watch the rest of the ad, you're not going to get the conversion. You're not going to get the lead. You're not going to get the sale. If the hook does a good job of hooking them, that's why it's called a hook, of convincing them to watch the rest of the video ad, they are then far more likely to find out about your offer, to reach your call to action, and to decide whether or not they are actually interested. So being able to test this not only is just testing the hooks the quickest and easiest way to produce lots of different ad variations and test, it's also by far the most important thing to test. So it's really high leverage work doing this, going to those different locations with the different backgrounds to create different visual hooks, repeating those different verbal hooks so that you have the different combinations. That is by far the highest leverage activity you can do to improve your video ad performance in the first place. Okay, so a couple more points that I need to mention around this, but first I want to share a quick clip from a talk I gave recently that explains why you should hire my agency to run your ads for you. Hire my agency to run your meta ads for you. Why do that? I said at the beginning, spent more than 150 million. That's a very conservative number. I always like any number claims I give to be like absolutely bulletproof. And that ad spend generated more than 600 million in revenue for our clients all around the world, all sorts of niches. I am the only Meta megaphone partner in the UK. It's because of my personal brand. I have special access with Meta. They give me access to things early, special access so that if things go wrong with ad accounts, which if you've been running Facebook and Instagram ads, you will know that is absolutely the case. We're able to get that resolved with an email, which is a big advantage. And we're an agency partner. Lots of agencies will tell you that they're agency partners. There's different levels to that game. We're in the top level. There's only 50 in the UK. And of those 50, we actually have the most number of clients. When we signed up, the person from Meta was surprised that that was the case. And that leads me to make the somewhat bold claim, but I would honestly stand by it, that I've got the best Meta ads agency in the UK. I pitch my team against any in the UK and be surprised it didn't come out on top. Honestly, I'd pitch my guys against any Meta ads agency in the world and be surprised if they didn't come out on top, which I know is punchy, but there we go. For those of you that run Meta ads for a company you work for and think, well, there's no way I'm ever going to hire you guys because that's my job, we also have a mentorship program where we can train you and show you exactly how we do what we do, how we can get you the best results possible. And so there is that option as well, if that is your scenario and you wouldn't want to hire us and replace yourself in that role. So this is quick and easy to do. So it's a high leverage activity for your time, but also you get a lot of leverage here on the money you're spending on a videographer and video editor, because this is a way to create lots of different ads that's not necessarily going to take those people much more time than if you're just creating 3 or 4 regular ads, because there's 2 full ads to record and then edit. And then the other stuff is just stuck on the front. Like, yes, that is going to take some time to piece it all together. But in terms of how can I get the most out of what I'm spending for a videographer, video editor's time, this is a great way to do it. It doesn't take, you can get all this recorded in one session, provided you're not traveling long distances to get those to the different visual hooks and different backgrounds. You can often get this done really quickly and easily. Go to this spot, say those 10 different lines. Go to this spot, say those 10 different lines. It's not that much more time and effort than producing a handful of the full length video ads in the first place. So it's especially important if you're on a budget, you're thinking, oh, we don't have tons of money to hire these professionals to do this work for us. We've just got a little bit. This could be a really good way to go. One thing you can do with this as well, tying this back into Modash I talked about earlier, a great way to find influencers to promote your products, is that you can get your influencers to do this as well. Now that might take a little bit of coaching, a little bit of explaining what it is you're looking for, but this is one of the best things you can do because, like I said, it's high leverage on a videographer and video editor time for you as the person paying for their time. The same will apply to influencers. So you can say, right, I want you to record 2 video ads on my product, but what I'd really like you to record is these 5 different visual hooks, these 5 different verbal hooks as well in combination, and that'll give me a lot more ad combos. They're probably not going to charge you a lot more for that than just the actual full videos in the first place. So really good way to get more out of your influencer marketing, as well as anyone you're paying to help you produce ad creative. This ties into another really massive point and a huge advantage about this. And this is something that I've come to realize over time as being more and more important and really changed the way I've thought about Facebook and Instagram ads over time. And that's ad fatigue. Using this structure means you are so much more insulated from ad fatigue, and you can get so much more out of your winning Facebook and Instagram ads. So I think a lot of us have had this experience where you've worked really hard, you've produced lots of video ads, and you've found 1 or 2 that work really well. And you're really excited and you're like, fantastic, these perform really well. They're well above our return on ad spend target. Really happy with this. And then you run them and they run well for a while. Maybe you scale, maybe you don't. But after a while, they really start to drop off. And you're like, I've got ad fatigue. It'd be really frustrating. You feel like you're going back to square one. I've got to create a load more again. Well, with this structure, you can get so much more out of those winners. Because let's say it was a particular visual and verbal combo that performed really well. Well, maybe you could do the verbal hook again. Remember, you've got 10 different versions of that verbal hook along with different visual hooks, so different backgrounds, different props. And you might be able to, maybe the results won't be quite as good with the other visual hooks, but maintaining the same verbal hook and of course the same rest of the ad. But I bet they're going to be close enough to still be really successful for your business. So you go, okay, well, this version has fatigued with this visual hook and this verbal hook, but we're just going to change out the visual hook. Keep the verbal hook, keep the rest of the ad the same, and we can run this. And by the way, we have 9 other variations to do this with. Maybe not all of them work. I bet a handful do, and I bet you can run those for quite a while and you might take an ad that performs really well for 6 weeks and then drops off, and with the extra variations, run that for 6 months or more before that starts to fatigue. And the reason why this works is because ad fatigue only really applies to that opening scene. And that's something I've had to get my head around over the years as a Facebook and Instagram advertiser. It's almost not ad fatigue. We should probably rename it as hook fatigue when we're talking about video ads, because that is the part that the vast majority see, and that's the only part they see. So if that part's different, it doesn't matter if the rest of the ad is the same, because they haven't seen that. It's all about trying to convince them to watch it based on the hook and trying to get them to consume the rest. And if we think about what ad fatigue is at its core, ad fatigue is people going, I've seen this before. So you're scrolling on Facebook, scrolling on Instagram, I've seen this before, I don't need to give it any mental effort or energy, scroll straight past. If something just looks different, or even looks similar, but you're saying something different, hence the different visual and verbal hook combinations, you get past the I've seen this before filter, which makes it much more likely they're going to watch the rest of it because they're not just immediately dismissing it before even having a look, giving it any attention. And that's what you want to do. So yeah, so really, I think super high leverage on the front end for ad creation, but also really helps once you do find those winners and get so much more out of them, makes it it's so much longer for ad fatigue to set in. So not only is this quicker and easier from a content creation standpoint, it means you don't have to do it as often typically, or you can do it as often and just have way more combinations and make it much more likely that you're going to win because you're producing so many more and testing so many more, and you've got that volume element and you're really learning, which is great. That would be the best way to go. But if you are also tight for time, and I speak to business owners all the time that they don't have that much time to record their Facebook and Instagram ads. If they're the name of the business, the face of the business, they've got a whole business to run. I totally get that. We'll do it this way. You might be able to record video ads every 3 months instead of every 3 weeks, depending on what you're spending and various factors, just to give you an example. Now, there is an extra credit on this. It's not as important as the hook, but you can also do something similar with the CTA. So if you've got a call to action at the end of your video ad, you can mix that up, and we have seen that help improve results in the same way as you might do with the hook. So different visuals, different verbals, different ways of saying things, particularly different backgrounds, different looks to it. And that can, again, take an ad that's working really well and extend its lifespan and make it perform a lot better. What we have done in the past, particularly with ads that we feel have high entertainment value, because some ads are very practical, some ads are more playful. So the ads that have more entertainment value, people are more likely to watch again because they just like them. If you think of a classic example being Dollar Shave Club, right? Highly entertaining ads, people just watch the ads because they like the ads. In that scenario, testing different call to actions at the end, we found quite beneficial. Ad that's performing really well. We believe it has high entertainment value. People are willing to watch it again. Then we can sort of squeeze some more juice out of the lemon, as it were, by doing that. Typically, we won't start by doing that. We'll start by recording the different hooks. But if we have a winner that meets those criteria, then we will go, you know what? Let's just take a little bit of time, record a bunch of CTA variations, and add those in. And I think we're likely to see some good results. So in this video, I've talked a lot about hooks, and I've covered some specific details briefly in terms of the visual and verbal, but I break down hooks in a lot more detail in this video here, and I go through what you want to include, more different options, what you can look to do to get the best results possible. And I think if you're wondering, okay, this all sounds great, I definitely want to use the structure demonstrated in this video, but I'm not exactly sure what should be in my hook, this video will show you what to do.